Hello again. This is John Crotts coming to you, attorney at King Law and elder law specialist. Wanted to do a video for you today on the subject, what is Medicaid? Get a lot of questions on this. Um, First, I'll tell you what it isn't. Medicaid is not to be confused with Medicare. I hear those programs used interchangeably at times. Medicare, of course, is a separate program uh, that most senior adults get when they turn age 65. It's comprised of the various parts A, B, C, D, and all of the different Medigap supplements that one can purchase with that to provide insurance in those elder years. Medicaid, on the other hand, is a federal program that's administered at the state and local levels, typically by DSS in North Carolina. Um, and it's a means-based test. It's based on your poverty level, how much income you have, and how much what your asset level is. Um, and Medicaid is what I describe as one of three ways of paying for long-term care. Number one being privately out of your pocket, if you have the means to do so, and uh, most skilled nursing homes in the area cost on average between $8,000 and $10,000 per year. Um, so it can eat into a nest egg rather quickly. The second way is through long-term care insurance, which is another topic that we'll create a video on long-term care insurance another day, but it can be a bit pricey. So not an option for everyone. But the third way is Medicaid, which is essentially insurance for the poor. And it does have both the income requirements and the asset requirements imposed by those who govern it. Um, Essentially, all of one's income has to be used to pay for their long-term care before Medicaid will pay the difference. Now, there's some exceptions to that. We'll talk about the big one pertaining to spousal protections, but there's a small allowance that an individual gets, and but after that, most of one's income has to be used to pay for their nursing home care before the state will pick up the tab through Medicaid benefits. Um, as far as assets are concerned, a single individual can have no more than $2,000 and be Medicaid eligible. So you got to spend all that down before you're going to be able to receive Medicaid benefits. You're entitled to protect more if you're married, um, but by and large, that's it. And there are some uh, exceptions to that we'll talk about in a moment. Um, the the spousal impoverishment protections pertain both to income and asset. Uh, there's what we call the minimum monthly maintenance needs allowance that will allow a non-institutionalized spouse to continue to receive so much of the married couple's income to ensure that they have enough to live on while they're still living in the home, while the sick spouse or the institutional spouse is in the nursing home. So they don't necessarily have to exhaust all of their income to pay for the institutionalized spouse. We can take care of the, the spouse that's still at home with some of that income. There is also something referred to as the Community Spouse Resource Allowance, and that is going to allow the healthy spouse, the non-institutionalized spouse, to retain some of the married couple's assets, some of their savings, so that again they can provide for themselves and ensure uh, that their needs are met while they're still living in the home. That can be anywhere in the neighborhood between $30,000 up to $154,000 in assets, not including the home. The home is an exempt asset. We'll talk about that momentarily. But money in the bank and other resources, the healthy spouse can protect a portion of that up to 154,000 in 2024 under North Carolina's regulations. There are exempt and non-exempt resources, as mentioned earlier. The most common is the house. You do not have to liquidate your house. That's one of the most common myths, is that a family has to sell that house in order to fund their cost of care in a nursing home. That is simply not true. And There are good reasons not to do that. So don't sell the house. In most cases, you are allowed to keep a vehicle, one vehicle per household, up to $2,000 or more if you're married. We may be able to protect more through that community spouse resource allowance. And tangible personal property, your personal effects, household furnishings, typically that's an exempt asset and not something that they're going to require you to liquidate and spend down in order to be Medicaid eligible. So there are very important transfer or gifting restrictions. So one cannot simply give away all they own or sell it for $1 and remain Medicaid eligible. They're, the Department of Social Services, as they are uh, evaluating a Medicaid application, they're going to do a look back over a period of 5 years and look at different transactions, banking records, real estate records, DMV records, to determine whether or not anything was given away or transferred without getting fair market value in return. If there is, they're going to impose what's called a transfer penalty, and that's not a fine, but that is something that is going to result in a delay in one's eligibility to receive Medicaid. That could leave your family in a bind as you are trying to figure out how you're going to pay for this cost of care. So don't just start making gifts in the hopes that you are going to make it beyond that 5 year period, at least not without consulting with uh, an elder law attorney about that gift. Um, So that's the 5 year look back. There is something called estate recovery. And, we hear these myths about how the state's going to take my house if I go to the nursing home, or the nursing home's going to take my house. While that's not true, upon your death, um, Medicaid can file a claim in your estate through the estate recovery process. And that's the point at which they can force anything that you still own, including the house, to be sold to pay them back among other creditors before you could leave any kind of inheritance to your heirs or to your beneficiaries through your estate. So while they will, once you meet the eligibility requirements, begin paying those costs of care within that framework we've discussed, they are going to look to your estate to pay back anything that they pay out on your behalf if you've got anything left. So that brings up various asset protection strategies that we use for our clients and develop and tailor make based on your circumstances to try to protect as much as possible for your family if you may be in a situation where you end up on Medicaid one day. There's a lot of these things that we can protect and secure with some different strategies, and we'll do more videos about that in the future, explaining some of those strategies. Um, but that is Medicaid in a nutshell. And hope this video was helpful to you. If you're interested in Medicaid asset protection strategies, or if you're at the point where you may need to complete a Medicaid application and you need representation or counsel about how to go about doing that, then we'd love to help you here at King Law. Go to kinglawoffices.com for more information and to schedule a consultation. All right. Thank you.